Hello, everyone. Congrats to Dira on first and having a 15 story streak. Hello, Cap. How's everyone doing today? How's everyone doing? We have a few things on our little agenda today. Oh, gosh. Oh, did my room expire? Sure. Let me turn some music on for us while I... This won't be our tunes for the day. I was gonna say, everything that's coming on slow. I was just gonna fix the puzzle. What do I have the puzzle link as? Oh my gosh, that works. Oh my gosh. Okay. I had it open in my browser and had it all set up for the little stream preview, but got messed up. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all know that the iPad part is gonna be super scuffed, and I just want y'all to know that. Fish, where's fish? Where's fish? You live fish? I don't know where to put anything. You can't tell I'm struggling to find out where to put anything. Yeah, we have it all going on. We have it all going on. So, excuse me. First thing on our little art agenda. Some things are going a little weird here, I'm noticing. Okay, so I have a few things pulled up on the internet that we're going to look at and we're going to talk about. Okay, so first we have a few stretches that we're going to do. This is the first one that I found, but I know I have wrist issues, so I want to do some wrist stretches before we get started. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do some of these. We're just gonna be stretching our little wrists before we get into some art. I encourage everyone else to do it too. Just gonna do a few of these for a moment. Not the ones on the wall though. Some of them say, oh, you probably can't read any of the text. But these ones to there's extension and all the goody goods. Okay, I want to do that first. I'll post that in the art study channel just so I have it for the future. Okay. I do not want that. Oh, this is the wrong. This is the website that I got that image from. Okay, so we have a little window up in the corner. There we are. Let me turn that off. That will be where our video or example will go later, I think, but not quite yet. So our little website, which we have here, we are currently just going to be going through this little website and seeing what they have to offer. Let me swap around my screens really quick and make sure this still looks good for you. Okay, I think that should be good. There's like there's so many pop-ups, there's so many things happening. Okay, so this website is Drawabox, and when I was on the internet trying to find some lovely resources for art studies, this is one that I found and I thought we would get into. So they have a section where you can upload the lessons you do, and they have a community of people, and then they will give you some critiques or, you know, criticism, or tell you what you can improve on from their lessons, which I think is really cool. I will not be uploading anything that I do, but that is a little feature they have for their lessons. They have lessons, articles, they have their sponsor, because all the stuff they have here on this website is free. But they have all these lessons. Part 1, the basics, and we'll be starting with the basics today. We're gonna skim through some of them. We're not gonna be doing all of the basic stuff. And they have challenges for, you know, the 250 box challenge, cylinder, texture, wheel, treasure chest. And that's the challenge for part 1. Part 2, they have constructional drawing. Oh, I'm pushing buttons. Applying construction to plants, insects and arachnids, animals, everyday objects, and vehicles. But while we do our art study, who's it, what's it's not all going to be through this one website. I'm gonna kind of skip around and find different things. I just wanted to start off with something that was very, 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 very basic. And I found this. So we're gonna start with lesson 0. Let me turn down Mr. John Mackey. So one thing that's also great about this website, I don't feel like I need to say this, but I'm going to. I'm not sponsored or affiliated with them by whatever means, but I do think it's really cool. They have a lot of accessibility features. They have like videos for each section they have. You can click here and it'll read the text for you. I think this is, oh, that was just the linking here, but they do have little boxes, and it'll read all the text for you on the page, which I think is very nice. So this is just the roadmap and what they're all about. I'm skimming through to see what here we want to talk about. So this is one thing I was looking up a lot when I was trying to find what to really do for art study and how to approach it. And the fundamentals is what came up a lot. And I was trying to find specific fundamental art studies, and I'm glad they talk about this too. Master Academy. Yeah, the powder is made by Softy. The background is just the background from like the Powderoo meme. But yeah, Softy drew that. They did. So I'm reading through this. This is free. They provide free resources. They have a Patreon, and they have advertisements on their page as well. Wow. This is all good reads, and I'm going to let you all know that I did already look through all of this, and I'm just trying to see where we want to begin. This is lesson 0. Softy uses they, them pronouns. And I love art. You see, I feel like I don't even know what I feel like. I mean, absolutely. I have so much Softy art, and I always love it. What do I have from Softy? I have my Powderoo from Softy. I have the middle finger art from Softy. I have the weed art from Softy. I have the little love scream from Softy. I think that's it. A lot of goodies. Where did my... My puzzle's getting upset, sorry. I'm gonna be so honest. I guess I said I looked through all of this, but I don't think I looked through all of this. Oh my gosh, am I finding out something tragic at the last moment while we're doing this? Oh no, they are recommending not to do to use digital art. Well, we're just gonna skip past that part, okay? I understand why, right? For like learning the basics, I completely understand why, right? Because I didn't read it, and I'm sure they say very similar things to this. There's a lot of, you know, stabilization tools and a lot of adjustments that your digital stuff can make, right? Where when it's just your hands, it's a little different. You're into full control, right? But yeah, we're gonna pretend we didn't see that. We're gonna pretend we didn't see that, and we're just gonna continue. Okay, so this is the first part. I cannot speak today. This is the first part of the lessons. And this is a video that's about drawing from your wrist and your shoulder rather than just drawing from like your wrist. So I want to watch this video. I don't know how long it is. Some of their videos were pretty long. It's about 9 minutes long. We'll skip around in that. I will pause our tunes.
There are two major types of skills that are involved in drawing. Mechanical skills, the things you physically do with your body, and analytical skills, the concepts you understand in your head. Both are addressed throughout this course, but we're going to get started by looking at the most important mechanical skill of all, how we use our arms to make marks. It sounds simple. After all, you've been using your arms to do all kinds of things throughout your whole lives.
What if I say... We're gonna skip that too, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that I'm sitting here like, we're gonna be doing all this great stuff, guys. And I'm like, let's skip everything, actually. Lines homework. Let's see our lines homework. Okay, there... Oh, wait. I obviously did not look as deep into this as I should have. Oh my god. We're gonna do some of these. Let us see. Let's read through this. Don't forget, do not grind. Complete the recommended amount of each exercise to the best of your ability and move on. You have ample time to keep practicing improving your skills when doing these exercises as warm-ups later. Don't rush. Read all the instructions and take breaks. So the homework is 2 filled pages of the superimposed line exercise, 1 filled page of the ghosted lines exercise, and 2 filled pages of the ghosted planes exercise. Links off to more detailed instructions on how they're done. These 3 exercises constitute just 1 section of this lesson. You should hold on to your homework until they're done all 3 sections. There's lines, ellipses, and boxes. And then talking about feedback, which we are not going for feedback. So the first one they have here is superimposed lines. The superimposed exercise, the first one I ever learned from Peter Hahn, probably before I even took his class. It's important to note that while some of the exercises are based on what I've learned in the past, I'm not always employing the same ways. This exercise is pretty straightforward. As shown here, start out with a simple straight line with a ruler or straight edge of some sort. Now I want you to draw directly on top of that guideline and repeat the stroke freehand 8 times. Pretty simple, right? Okay, we got this. What if I don't use my arm? What if you use your feet? Exactly. This is gonna be on the test? Yes. Yes, it's gonna be on the test. Everyone, make sure you turn your lines in, okay? Your superimposed lines must be turned in, okay? Okay. Okay, we're gonna read all the instructions because I have been skipping steps, but we are gonna read these instructions, okay? My iPad's a little freaking dirty. Where's my iPad? Freaking dirty. Okay. Freehand 8 strokes. First try with a relatively short line of a couple of inches. Once you've done a few of these and feel more confident, double the length, then try half the page and then the full width of the page. As the strokes get longer and longer, it'll get more and more difficult. Also try some arching lines and even some waves, though the waves will definitely be very difficult. Okay, the purpose of this exercise. Now I'm kind of understanding why they recommend pen and paper, because like I'm gonna find a pen that doesn't have a ton of stabilization on it, or else like, you know, this is helping me train my hand and eye for straight lines, but when I have a tool that makes all of them be straight. Okay, you are exempt from the lesson. All right, you're exempt. Every exercise has a specific purpose to it, and how you approach it is going to depend on what you're aiming to get out of it. In this case, this exercise is all about confidence. As you draw your superimposed strokes, you will notice that you're not going to be able to see where your pen is drawing because your hand will be blocking it. This will make it particularly difficult to guide the stroke as you go. Ultimately, that's the point. If you remember back to the lesson, you're not meant to guide the stroke as you execute it. You need to be pushing forward with a confident, persistent pace, trusting in your muscle memory and letting your arm do what it does best. Okay, mistake. Wobbling. A wobbly line shows here suggests that you're hesitating and not quite giving up control. We don't want wobbly line. Fraying on both ends. You only want fraying at the okay. You didn't take the time to position your pen correctly. Okay. Your end result will look something like this. We have boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. Now we have the video. Let's get this video pulled up. I'm looking at the comments. The very first line already humbled me.
The superimposed lines exercise is one that is all about teaching students that it is more important that we draw our marks confidently than accurately. Beginners are always quite concerned about making sure their lines fall precisely where they mean them to, and they'll often attempt to achieve this by drawing more slowly and carefully, hesitating, and in doing so, they'll end up with a wobbly line. Basically, in attempting to steer their hand as they draw, they're micromanaging the movement from moment to moment. Every time they catch themselves falling off their intended path, they correct the motion. And every correction...
There's like a little cartoon here. I'm messing with everything and now we can't even see the freaking cartoon. Okay. Let me go to the side. Why are you drawing like that? Slow and steady wins the race, you know. No, that's dumb. When you draw slowly, your brain drives the motion of your arm. Oh, sorry, just gotta turn a bit here. I'm not dumb. It of course corrects often, makes little wibbles. It course corrects often, making little wibbles in your line. I do not know why I had such difficulty reading that. I'm trying to get my iPad set up.
Adds in turn a new little turn to the trajectory in a mark that's supposed to be straight. Of course, as a beginner, you cannot and should not expect yourself to be able to produce pristinely smooth and accurate lines. We can, however, choose to focus on one first. The fluidity of a line, that is how smoothly it flows, is a factor that is controlled primarily by how we choose to execute a mark. That means the steps and process we follow in actually making the mark is what determines this attribute. If we draw confidently and from the shoulder, as we've discussed previously, our lines will flow more smoothly than if we draw slowly and hesitantly.
Okay.
When our lines will wobble and become much more stiff.
We're going to watch this video, and while this video goes, I am going to start this homework assignment up in the corner. We're going to do the lines. I'm going to switch my pencil. I'm using Procreate. I like a little baggie that holds all of my pen accessories for my Apple device, my iPad. It has like my gummy stuff for my Apple Pencil. I don't know where they went. We don't need it.
Other attributes, such as accuracy, will improve with practice, although there are other things we can do to adjust our approach to improve that as well. And we'll look at that in a later exercise, when we start talking about the ghosting method. So this actual exercise is fairly straightforward. We draw a guideline with a ruler. And then we attempt to superimpose a new line right on top of it, freehand, about 8 times or so. And feel free to rotate the page as needed. For now, I want you to focus mostly on straight lines, starting with shorter ones, like maybe 2 inches, something that long maybe, and then working your way up. But you can mix some curves in there as well if you like. Here's what it looks like when you've done a whole page. Notice that I worked with shorter lines, medium, longer lines, and a few curves. Although if you don't want to do the curves, that's fine too. There are a few issues we need to look into for when doing this exercise. First and foremost is wobbling. And I want to make sure that this shows up on camera, so I'm going to exaggerate it. But when you're trying to follow a path and you draw very slowly, as previously explained, you're going to end up with a wobbly line. This is because we're choosing to draw in a manner that prioritizes accuracy over flow, and we end up hesitating instead of drawing confidently. So this is a hesitant line. Drawing confidently is a choice, and we can demonstrate that by simply taking a piece of paper and drawing random lines on it as quickly as we can. Notice that these marks don't have any wobbles. They're not necessarily straight, but they are confidently drawn, and they are smooth, maintaining a consistent trajectory. Drawing confidently doesn't mean drawing quickly, but drawing fast does make it impossible to hesitate. So by doing this, you can show yourself that regardless of, a naturally shaky hand, you are capable of drawing a smooth stroke. And that's really the bedrock of everything that we're doing here. The second issue I want you to look out for is fraying. And I'll draw another example of this. I'll draw a couple actually, just to help make the point. So you should already notice how what I did there was very different from what I demonstrated initially. And then this is more correct. So the difference is both of these here have fraying. It's like when you look at the end of a rope and you've got all those little separating threads. That's what I'm talking about. What we want to watch out for is fraying on both the end where you start and the end that you finish. Actually, if you've got it on the end here, it's fine. It's expected that because your lines are going to take off at different trajectories due to, just not being perfect, you're going to end up with a deviation here. There's going to be distances between your strokes. If you were to look really closely at it, they'd stand out even on my own work. But what you want to avoid is having very much fraying at this beginning, because that's something we can control. That occurs when you are just drawing randomly and not taking the time to actually line up your pen at the correct starting point. So if you are seeing fraying at the beginning of a line, like we do here, and not so much here, like there's a little bit, but it's not very significant. If you're seeing this, that means that you're not taking the time to prepare before you execute those marks. So just make sure that you are making those choices, that you are going through the steps one at a time to execute the mark to the best of your ability. You will find this to be a big factor throughout this whole course. The idea that we make choices to position ourselves in a way that increases our chances of making the marks that we want. If you rush in, if you hope for luck to see you through, then your line work will be erratic and messy, as it is here. If, however, you invest your time in your planning and preparation before executing your marks, being conscious of the decisions along the way, you will find that you are capable of far more than you may have expected. Patience and forethought is incredibly important. So that's essentially the core of this exercise. It's going to be to create filled pages like this, where you start out with shorter lines, work your way to longer ones, and you're going over each one 8 times. Don't press too hard when you're drawing, just, make enough contact so that it actually makes a mark, but you don't need to grind your nib into the page, as that can damage your pen's ink flow. Also, those of you working with ballpoint, because ballpoint is okay for lesson 1 in the box challenge. Lesson 2 is where fine liners really kick in, although if you can have them for lesson 1, that's great. One thing you may find is that your pens may create grooves in the page. That's totally fine. Don't worry about it. Even if your pen is falling into a groove as you draw, that doesn't change the fact that you're drawing with confidence. And that's what the focus is here. Not on being slow and steady, but on drawing confident strokes. Actually, I have got fraying there already, so well, you get the point anyway. So that's it. I'll bring this up one more time. And so that's also an example of what I mean by
Okay, we have our example up here. I'm going to finish this page. I'm going to do these lines, and then I'm going to do a new layer, and I'm going to do one of those pages. On here, it said what was the 2 filled pages of these lines. So I'm going to try to do 2 filled pages of these lines, but I'll keep this example up here. I'm just going to turn on the guide. I want to redo that. We'll come back. Hello, Ness. How are you today? I don't know, did I ask that to everybody? How's everyone doing today? Oh my gosh. The next sheet that I'll do is going to be more like that one. I know you can barely see what I'm doing up there. Let me move my big head. Drat. Oh. Just too speedy. Oh, that last one. What are we doing? That one was a little crazy. Ooh. That one's a little crazy too. Okay, we did our first sheet. Second sheet time. So what did he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little ones, 6 medium ones, and 6 big ones. One, two, three, four, 5, 6. Does that even leave enough lines for other one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can just do 5 big ones. That sounds good. Five biggies. One. Oops. 2. 3. 5. Okay. How many? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 14. That'll get a little crazy, but we'll do that too. And then we'll have up here. And on the side here, we'll do some of these. Now we begin. 8 each. 8 each. I got my neck pillow from Miniso. I think they still have them. I can always go check and see about shipping you one. I meant to ask you a question. Ooh. These long lines are a little rough for me. I never said I'm using the Procreate pen in Kestrel. I wanted to try to find one that didn't have a ton of stabilization in it, and I don't think this one does. Oh. Yeah, if you want, I can always go back and check. I have one of those stores near me. Okay, we did our 2 pages of lines. So I'm going to group those together. Have this be renamed to lines. New group lines is what it's going to be called, I suppose. And then we go to part 2 of the ghosted lines. So let's read through this. Okay, here's the example. I want to look at the example before we read through it. Ghosting is a technique first learned from a DVD, at least on a conceptual level, the backbone of how I want my students to think. The first step when making a mark is not to jump in and put ink on the page. Beginners will often do this for obvious reasons, and impatience leads to poor results. Think about the task that the mark is meant to accomplish. We are not sketching, we are drawing it purposefully and building things one step at a time. Whoa, wait, did y'all finish the puzzle? You guys did it. Yay! And be honest, I didn't set up a second puzzle. I did not set up a second puzzle. I thought about it and I didn't. That was the only puzzle you all have, and I'm sorry. Oh, I messed this up because... Okay, we're good. Let's watch this video.
I'm assuming at this point that you've read through the lines section of Lesson 1 and watched the videos, and that you've completed the assigned pages of the superimposed lines exercise.
Yeah.
In the superimposed lines instructions, I introduced the idea that drawing confidently is the key to achieving a smooth, fluid, consistent trajectory to your lines. which speaks to how we can follow the principles of mark making described in the lesson. In this exercise, I'm going to introduce you to a technique that will, as a concept, drive how you make marks throughout this entire course. It's called the ghosting method. This is a technique that I first learned from old DVDs by Scott Robertson, a name you may recognize as he's well known for his How to Draw textbook, which I find to be extremely useful as a resource to have in regards to technical perspective. This ghosting technique of his is something that over the years I've come to appreciate as the bedrock of not only good mark making, but how we should approach most things in our lives. Most beginners will often approach mark making in one step: execution. They bundle figuring out what mark they want to make and how they want to approach drawing it by actually making it into one task that their brain handles all at once. This is pretty inefficient when you think about it. Anytime you try to do multiple things at once, you're probably going to do a worse job at all the given tasks than if you did them one at a time. So what I mean by this is that they will decide, okay, I want to draw a rectangle. So they will draw their mark. They know that they want kind of a straight mark here, and then they're just drawing it carefully because they want it to be straight. And there you go. And they're being slow and steady because they know that the more time you put into something, the better it will come out. But that isn't quite as simple as it sounds. Because here, they've put lots of time into these lines, but they're wobbly. And they're wobbly because they're being slow and careful. That doesn't mean that rushing is the key. It simply means that there's a better way to approach this. Ultimately, that's what the ghosting method is all about. It's about breaking the process of making a mark into 3 distinct phases. First, planning. Identifying the specific nature of the mark that you want to draw, what its job is, and how it's meant to contribute to a drawing. If it's a straight line, we can place tiny points where we want the mark to start and where we want it to end. Here, we can also rotate the page to find a comfortable angle of approach. Don't just leave your page in a single position. Move it around, turn it as much as is needed. There will be plenty of orientations where drawing marks will be more difficult. For example, I'm right-handed, so drawing like this is considerably more difficult than drawing like this. And so I want to make sure that my line that I'm going to be drawing is in a more comfortable position for me to execute it. While eventually this is something you'll want to work on to make those various orientations more comfortable, now is not the time. Right now, we're just going to focus on being able to execute a mark in a limited range of orientations really well. And that'll be enough to get us into learning more important things sooner. If we spend all our time just grinding away on being able to draw lines in every orientation, it'll be wonderful that you'll be able to say that, oh, I can draw a line in every possible direction, but what good is that if you can't actually apply it to more useful things? So the second step is preparation. Here we do what we can to get used to the motion that will be required to draw this line. Generally, this means ghosting through the motion, holding your pen above the page and going through the motion without the pen actually touching the surface. In doing this, we familiarize our muscles with what will be expected of them. Focus on the motion in the direction of the stroke as well. Instead of going back and forth, draw in that motion, pick your hand up, and then repeat. That way you're giving your arm a better sense of the specific motion it needs to learn. And you're essentially writing it to your kind of short-term muscle memory, if you want to call it that. And lastly, we've got execution. Here's where we make our mark, doing so with a confident motion. No hesitation, no worrying. Engage your whole arm and push through that motion. Here your focus is only on getting ink on the page, so once you feel you've ghosted enough to feel comfortable with that stroke, let the pen touch the page and repeat the same motion again, producing a single mark. Don't automatically go back over it or repeat yourself. One line, one mark. And so here's how I would do the whole process: ghosting, and then a mark. This one isn't perfect. There's a bit of curving here at the beginning, and it actually creates a very subtle S. But it's still smooth, and that's my focus. It's not perfectly accurate, but this is what we're aiming for. We prioritize the flow of the mark first, accuracy second. And this whole process is that it's like a production line. At every stage, you can think as though it's being handled by an entirely different person.
No,
Each
not
one is only
multi-produce.
responsible for a very limited task, and they're not concerned with whether those before or after them are actually doing their jobs. So when you're executing your mark, you should not be thinking about whether or not you did enough planning or preparation. Whether you did or didn't is no longer relevant. The second your pen actually touches the page, any opportunity to avoid making a mistake has passed. You have to accept what happens and push through. This is generally where wobbling occurs. Students who apply the first two stages correctly can still second guess themselves and hesitate when making their mark, resulting in wobbling. So you can sit here and, put your points down, ghost as much as you want, but if you don't physically make the choice, or mentally, I guess, make the choice of committing to that stroke, if you hesitate, you will end up with a wobbly line. And so committing
No!
is key. So this exercise will basically be to draw a bunch of straight lines, applying this ghosting method, across your entire page. I'll often just put down a bunch of random points and then connect them together. And I've got an example of how it looks when it's finished. Now, there are a few mistakes that students will find themselves making, so let's go over them fairly quickly. First, basically what I've already discussed, it's like a broken record at this point. If you wobble your lines, you are not executing your mark confidently. And you need to make sure that when your pen touches the page, your only responsibility is making a smooth, confident mark. And as I discussed before in the superimposed lines exercise, if you don't think you can make confident lines, just take a piece of paper and draw lines as quickly as you can, and you'll show yourself that when you don't give yourself the opportunity to hesitate, your lines come out smooth. Another issue that students run into is the tendency to have their strokes arc a little bit. So let's say they've got their 2 points. They might be trying to draw a straight line, and they may find that every time it arcs. And there's 2 possible reasons for this. One is just that maybe they're drawing from their wrist. If I try and draw a straight line here from my wrist with, my wrist is firmly locked in place, I can't help but curve that line.
For real.
The elbow will also produce a bit of a curve, just not as much as this. But always make sure that you are executing these marks from your shoulder and engaging your whole arm, as we discussed in previous videos. The other reason, if you are definitely using your whole arm to execute these marks and your wrist is locked in one position, in one orientation, it's not able to pivot from here, then it may simply be that your brain kind of thinks incorrectly about what a straight line is. And so you may find yourself, when you tell it, I want to draw a straight line, it might just make a bit of a curve. And the way to kind of deal with that is to purposely curve your line in the other direction. And the hope here is that it will compensate, and with your brain wanting to naturally curve things in this direction, when you try and draw this line, the line should come out straighter. And you'll have to be very conscious about this initially, but over time, your brain will be rewired in terms of what it thinks to be a straight line, and that issue will go away. So this is the process that you're going to be using for every mark you draw throughout this course, this ghosting method where you plan, prepare, and execute. It can be applied to straight lines, curves, ellipses, anything. At its core, though, it comes down to a very simple concept, that you need to think before you draw, and make sure that the line you want to draw will actually contribute to your drawing in some way. People have this terrible tendency of just putting marks down and then deciding whether or not it was a good idea later. The ghosting method is all about plan first, think about what you're trying to do and what you're trying to contribute, and then see it through.
That one's the wobbly, that's okay. Honestly, that was a 10-minute video, and I didn't even feel like felt like 10 minutes. We have a few more dots and whatnot to do on my page. I'll get this fixed up, and then the homework for this part was just one ghosted line page. So I just got to get some more dots on this page, get some more ghosted lines. I'm gonna get this page filled up before I get to the next step. That one is a little curved. I know we didn't go over the using your arm versus your wrist stuff, but I am trying to make sure I'm using my arm. That one needs to be redone. Let's do like one here and one here and one there. But that one got a little crazy. That one got a little crazy. I'm trying not to use the benefits of using digital where I can just undo and undo and undo. I'm just trying to go through the exercise and do the ghost before I put the line on the paper. Okay. I'm going to consider this episode, what? Gonna consider this lesson, holy shit, this lesson done. And we're gonna go to our third lesson, part 3, ghosted planes. So we're gonna be doing a similar thing. We're gonna do, it seems like we're gonna do 4 dots and we're gonna connect it. Let's get in here.
This last exercise builds right on the ghosted lines exercise by making it a little bit more structured and purposeful. Once you're finished lesson 1 and incorporate these exercises into your regular warm-up routine, you may opt to just do the ghosted planes exercise instead of the ghosted lines one. So, a plane. In this case, it's basically any quadrilateral or shape with 4 sides. So, you know. It's not necessarily a rectangle or a square, and it can have sides of any length. This exercise is basically to lay out our points to establish the 4 corners of such a shape, and to draw those edges one at a time while applying the ghosting method. So you should already be reasonably familiar with this. Of course, we're always rotating our pages to find a comfortable angle of approach. And if you're still struggling with overshooting or things like that, don't worry about it. I talked about in the levels of the ghosted lines exercise that, don't worry about still struggling with parts of this technique, because you're going to get lots of mileage with it overall in the fullness of time. So once we've got our four corners down and our edges, we will also draw across from corner to corner. We've already got these points down. We're going to create our diagonals. And lastly, we are going to draw, well, we're going to bisect this plane. So down the middle, don't worry too much about like this line necessarily going straight through the center. I'm not too concerned with that. You'll notice here that my pen's ink kind of died through the middle there. If that happens to you, don't worry about it. What matters is that the lines were drawn, not that they look perfectly solid. Although if that happens to you very often, drawing with a higher angle on your pen, like keeping it more upright, will definitely help with that. So, of course, the whole way through this, we employed the ghosting method, and we marked our start and end points. And we focused on executing that mark finally with confidence, not with wobbling, not with hesitation. Now, while we won't necessarily produce perfect results, the point is to focus on applying these 3 steps to every single mark we make, to have patience, to allow ourselves to demonstrate the best of which we are currently capable, and not to rush or feel like we're supposed to meet some arbitrary standard of speed or efficiency. And once we're done filling the whole page, it'll look something like this. So I've got my planes, reasonably large. I'm not trying to cramp them into small spaces except for maybe here, but that's just because that's the space I had left over. And I'm trying to fill up the whole page, making sure to engage my...
These videos, I look and I'm like, oh god, a 6-minute video, a 10-minute video, and then I watch it and I feel like I blink 4 times and it's over. What do you mean we're almost done with this video?
Whole arm when executing these marks. And there it is. Now, this exercise also introduces us to the idea that a drawing may be complicated. It may be made up of countless lines, shapes, forms, etc., and there might be a lot of going on. You may be tempted to feel that because the line you're drawing is just one of, say, 500.
I'm going to post these links in the art study channel with the lessons of what we are doing today and with examples of the homework. I am going to try, we'll see how it goes, but I'm going to try to do these exercises a few times. Not today, but just in general. I don't want to say, oh, I'm going to do this every single day. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I want to try to do these more, or at least I want to draw more. I don't draw very often, and I find it hard to motivate myself to draw. So at least if anything, if I can just open this motherfucker and draw some lines, I can draw me a little page of kites, I'd be happy. Whoa. Exactly. Like, and once you know it, once I don't need these videos, right? Even now that I have my example pages or I have that stuff posted in that channel I can look at, it would honestly take like 10 minutes to do, right? Just look, okay, I know I have to do these lines, I have to do these lines and these lines. Like, I do my lines. But then, you know, I already know what I'm doing. I could do all of those exercises right now and be very quick. And it's what you make of them, right? If I sit here and I do 10 of each, you know, it depends. You also don't want to do too much. And that's why we might not do too much more. I don't want to do too much. But I like these resources, and I will, for next time, maybe next week, look through them and get some stuff prepped and posted beforehand. I'll have like the lessons we'll do and the homework posted before we do it next time, just so everybody can be a little more prepared. Uh, oh, there we go.
That
Let's
you
finish this
don't
up
need to
before
go
we...
through all the steps, that you can skip them and focus on the big picture. And this sort of thinking can actually happen very easily without us noticing it. Where in the previous exercise, the task itself was to draw lines, and every unit of work that we did in our minds was put towards drawing a single line. Later on, we're going to be drawing boxes, and that same idea of this is the unit of work that I'm applying to this task ends up being applied to boxes, even though those boxes each consist of 6 individual lines. And so if we fall down this trap of thinking, we make the mistake of applying the same amount of effort that you once used for a single line on a whole box. And of course, that's incorrect. So no matter what you're drawing in this course, I want you to focus on executing each and every mark to the best of your current ability. That means being patient, taking your time, and going through all the steps in every case. Do not rush.
I like this guy. I don't know their name, but Mr. Box. I like how it's made for everyone, right? They do seem really patient and nice. It's definitely a made for everyone. Like, I like the reinforcement of it does not matter how it looks. We are here for the fundamentals. We are here for the muscle memory. Even he's been like, that was a mistake, whatever. Yeah, that was a mistake, whatever. You see that happen? No, who cares about that? Who cares? I like that. You know, do the best of your ability, you know? It doesn't matter if this happens. Exactly. Drawing is for everyone, and learning to draw is for everyone. And some people have spent a lot of their life drawing, you know? A lot of people have just drawn for hobbies, or a lot of people have just drawn for whatever. But you're never too late. You're never too old. For anything. Well, for most things. Like, one thing with, like, school. Like, I always find it silly when people are like, oh, I'm too old for college. It's like, no, you're not. You can be 900 years old and you can go to school. Education, knowledge does not have an age gap. Or age cap. What's everyone's goal with drawing? You're doing a little art study. What's everyone's little goal? I like drawing, and I just want to be happier with the drawings that I do. And unfortunately, I think part of what would help my motivation with drawing is if I just got a little better at it. If I was just happier with my work, and I can, you know, I think I'd be happier overall with it. I wouldn't feel so bummed after I drew if I'm like, dang, that looks bad. I'm gonna do it more often. Haven't done a legit piece in years. No, I use ArtFight as my like drawing motivation and practice. Because really for me, like I have an iPad and I bought it so I could draw more. And you know, I have pencils, I have paper, I have all that stuff. But it really is like a, like sometimes I think I'm like, do I want to draw? And then it's like, I have to practice more and get better at it. So then it's easier for me to want to draw. If I know I can draw at least a little bit, because, you know, we're always our biggest critics, right? And I'm sure even at a point where I can draw, I'll still be like, dang, I can't draw. Some of the greatest artists think they can't do decent work. I just want to get a little more confident and a little more comfortable. And then I'm hoping that that will expand my artistic mind. But I do ArtFight, but that's only a month of the year. And then ArtFight season comes around, and I'm like, damn. I mean, I've only participated twice. But then I'm like, damn, I didn't improve at all since last year, or I've improved minimally since last year. Wow. And then I look back and think that I've drawn like twice since the last ArtFight. I would love to be able to not only do art and stuff for myself for streaming, because I think that can be a very powerful thing, not needing to quote unquote rely on others. That's not necessarily how I view it. But even if it's like, oh, I want to redraw this meme or something just for like an emote or something that's trendy, I don't always have, you know, $20 to commission a beautiful artist. And sometimes I would like to just be able to whip something up for myself or whip something up for some friends. I love drawing friends, and I want the pieces I produce for myself or for my friends to just be good. I want it to be something that we all can be proud of. Proud of. And that's something, it's so easy to be like jealous of people who are really good at art, because come on, like they have beautiful talent and hard work, and their art looks so good. But then sometimes I just try to remind myself, girl, if you sat down and practiced, you could probably do that. Maybe not like 100%, you know, but dang, if you sat and practiced, you could at least do something a little bit like it. I wish I had that gene that a lot of artists, including my sister, have. And that's the gene of wanting to draw all the time. Like, my sister draws all the time, and she has for a lot of her life, right? Just always, 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 always drawing. You know, that's how she got good at drawing, is she literally would draw all day, every day. But I'm just like, ugh, I don't want to just draw. What the heck? I want to produce a masterpiece and then go to bed. Which is not the right approach. I feel like all my little kites are very samey. Here, let's make this one a little weird. My Apple Pencil all of a sudden stopped working. Sometimes this just happens. Oh, I figured out. Sometimes, like, my little pen nib gets loose. I'm gonna do kind of like a bigger one, but kind of funky. I'm not trying to use any of like the tools that Procreate has for like straight lines or anything. I just want all this to be from me because I know I can just like hold it and then like have it be automatically be a straight line. I don't want to do that. We are here to better our hand. Like I said earlier, I tried to pick a brush that I think doesn't have a lot of stabilization on it, so hopefully we're just doing full hand. But honestly, I might try to just do these exercises with different brushes. Even do these kinds of exercises with brushes that have a lot of stabilization on them and that I use very frequently or I like to use, just so I can get a little more comfortable and a little more familiar with how those specific brushes just look on the page. Let's make a rectangle right here. I'm excited to play Peak tomorrow. I have seen some stuff in the update. I played the update a little bit, but it's going to be so fun. Beak. That's not cool. Oh, that one's also great. I didn't. Beak. Exactly, you get it. Man, we've been hella cozy up in these parts, but one day we gotta get back into Elden Ring. I can't believe I had that poll where I was like, how should I finish Elden Ring? Should I just binge it or should I do it week by week? And then it was spooky month and then I didn't play any Elden Ring. Straight up said, how often y'all want me to play it? And then said, I'm straight up not playing this shit. Like, oh, you guys want me to play Elden Ring then? Too bad. I'm actually never playing that game ever again. But now we've just been hella cozy, and it's like, you want me to go back to Elden Ring after cozy time? You see how cozy we've been? Animal Crossing and Minecraft and all this shit, and then the horrors? Okay. I actually like Elden Ring. I think it's a really good game. It's typically not. I'm honestly okay. I'm gonna be real. What happened with Elden Ring is it was like I think my 200 follower incentive thing, like hee cozy streamer plays not cozy game, haha haha. And then I was like, dang, this shit's fun. So then there we had Elden Ring for a very long time. Elden Ring can be a cozy game. It can be. Am I supposed to do 2 pages of this? I'm gonna be so real with you right now. I'm not doing 2 pages of this one. I'm gonna fail the homework assignment, and that's okay. One is a lot, like this one with the. I'm gonna admit, I have been getting lazy. I have not been doing my ghosting on these lines sometimes. I'm sure we can all tell that I have not been doing the ghosting. Oh my goodness! Hello and welcome in. Thank you for the raid. You're last playing games and demos. Oh my gosh, what were you playing? What were you playing? Thank you so much for the raid. Oh my goodness. How was your stream? How was it? How was it? What were you up to? Welcome in, everybody. If you don't know me, I am Meenks, a ghosty girl VTuber. Today we're doing some art studies, and we're finishing up this last study here. We're trying to expand our artistic minds over here in these parts. I was playing Don't Bite the Cashier. Oh my gosh. Let me look this up. Let me go to the Steams. Don't Bite. Oh my gosh, it's not on Steam. It's the internet. Don't Bite the Cashier. Oh la la! Oh my goodness! Sorry, y'all can't see anything because I have full screen stuff. Ooh la la! These people are beautiful. Land a night shift at a gas station for minimum wage. Spooky enough already. Talkative monsters flirt with an eldritch being, pet a werewolf, and try not to end up on the menu. Oh my god! This game seems absolutely delightful. I'm copying this link. I'm saving this in a little channel of mine. I might play that at some point. That's a cute little game. You pet the werewolf? Oh, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the VOD. I must see the werewolf. That is so freaking cute. That's how you get me. Flirty monsters. Monsters will always get me. I love them. I love them a little too much. Oh my gosh, I meant to ask you this, and I said I was going to ask you the next time I caught your stream, and then I didn't. What do you prefer to go by? Because I know you from some people's communities, and I know you as Arson from these communities. I just want to see what you would like to be called. Mr. Box is gonna be very mad at me for not following his steps. Sorry, Mr. Box. This is also the weirdest rectangle ever. Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure because I was like, I see other people calling you Arson, but I was like, I don't know, I gotta ask first. I don't want to just be throwing names around. Perfect. Oh, we're gonna pretend that was one line. No one has to know. Okay, there we go. We have some we have some spots that could definitely use a little doodad. Maybe let's add some doodads. Oh, that was a really bad doodad. Bad doodad. Okay, okay, that makes sense. That makes so much sense. Yeah, little doodads. I did one doodad and it was really ugly. But there we go. We have our ghosted planes, our ghosted lines, and then we have our whatever these are. Whatever all of those are. Oh my goodness. Well, all the things. Yes, I think we did some great practice. I know we didn't have a very long stream. But I think we did good practice. And I feel so bad ending stream after we just got a lovely little raid. We just got a lovely little raid. Let's see. No one I really follows online. Why does this have to happen to me? No! No, the size of the raid doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. So the love elsewhere. I know. I'm trying to look. I was talking about this the other stream that I've been so bad at raiding out that I haven't been doing it. And now I'm sitting here like, dang, I gotta raid out, but let me do a quick peruse on Blue Sky, just in case there's the off chance that someone I follow is not. I'll follow Twitch. Oh my gosh! I appreciate it. That's so sweet. Okay, out of the people I follow, there is one person who I've interacted with a few times, and we have raided them before, so we will raid them again. We are going to be raiding Percy. Let me get some info for all of us. Percy uses he, they pronouns, and they are currently streaming Minecraft. So here's our little raid message. You can use whatever emotes you'd like to use. You can use my emotes. You could use Twitch native emotes. You could use custom emotes. You can use your emotes, or you can use Percy's emotes in our little message. We have that there. We're going to go over. We're going to say, hey, what's up, Percy? How's Minecraft? And yeah, thank you all for being here and hanging out today. I will see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, to play some Peak with some friends. Yes, thank you all for being here and hanging out and having a great time. And thank you so much, Arson, for the raid. I'm so sorry that you raided in and now we're leaving. But we have our beautiful, beautiful raid message. And here we go. Let me start this up. Did I start it up? Okay, there we go.